Om Shanti. I hope I'm clear and audible.
Yes, sister.
We have a beautiful session today, and we look forward to hearing and welcoming BK sister Sona Bahri, who is coming for the second time, I think, sister. You have come here before, and we were really impressed, and we learned a lot from you last time also. And this time we are looking forward. Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing you in this beautiful session on introspect, elevate, and merge. A little introduction on sister. Very impressive bio. I will just say a few lines from that. She's presently, sister is presently the director of the Inner Space Meditation Center in Abu Dhabi in UAE. And she has been practicing and teaching meditation for the past 28 years. And her teaching experience spans including so many countries: UK, UAE, Italy, Spain, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, India, I think the whole globe. Hong Kong, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, Turkey, South Africa, Egypt, Canada, Iceland, and the US. So that's really nice that you have been able to be Baba's beautiful instrument in so many different countries. And since March 2008, the sister has been teaching meditation in Abu Dhabi, both in the corporate and to individuals personally. And she currently holds the position of Director, Inner Space Center, Abu Dhabi, and is responsible for the day-to-day management of the affairs of the center. And she has, of course, delivered many workshops and many seminars on a range of different topics, from mindfulness and meditation to stress management and interpersonal relationships and communication. She has also earlier held the role of Retreat Center Coordinator for the Center for Spiritual Learning, a large 132-acre property in the Blue Mountains in Sydney, Australia, from 2001 to 2006. So, sister, we really are looking forward to hearing you on this beautiful subject of introspect, elevate, and merge. So, over to you, sister, and welcome once again.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Today's session, it's been inspired by my own journey. And for me, really, being a Brahmin for many years, like all of you, I think there comes a time when one thinks, well, what more? What more do I need to do to sort myself out? Because we listen to Baba every day, and all of us, I think, have a very honest heart. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? But still, sometimes it feels like the car is kind of stalling, you know? The car is kind of getting stuck, and we are not able to move forward as fast as we would like to. So I've been asking myself for the last few years now, so what's wrong? I mean, many things are right, but still something could be better. And what is it that I need to look at myself, perhaps in a deeper way, to be able to sort more things out that I'm not aware of? And I think this is exactly the key. We have four main subjects that we know about. But to be honest with you, I think there should have been a fifth subject, which has been left to us. And that is the subject of reflection. Today we've called it introspection. To inspect myself on the inside, to look inside. The Hindi word is beautiful. It is to turn my face within, antarmukta. And when I look inside, it's only then that I start to put my attention, my focus to really deep checking. It's not just the checking that, I do on a day-to-day basis, but perhaps a very deep conversation between the mind, which is my interface with the outside world, and the heart that is actually storing a lot of my feelings, my emotions. It's storing a lot of the inside of me that is not visible to the world, obviously, but it is definitely powering up everything that I am today. So I'd like to just read you a few words and then talk a little bit about why it's so important to do this work of introspection these days. So, memories of painful experiences, actually memories of all experiences, but since we're talking about cleaning up the soul, the ones that we want to deal with are the painful experiences. So memories of painful experiences leave an energetic imprint on the soul. The ripple effect of this imprint is felt. And how do we know that there is a ripple effect of this imprint? It is felt as strong emotions and turbulent thoughts. So you see how everything that is happening on the outside, everything that has created a subtle or gross experience for the soul, is going to leave an energetic imprint inside me. Energetic imprint means it has left its form of imprint in the way of a memory, in the way of an energy stored inside. And once an energetic memory has been kept inside, it's like a stamp. And once I have been stamped, that stamp can be triggered anytime. It can be reawakened. It can be revived. So what happens is that something on the outside has the capacity then to reawaken that energy, that energetic stamp, which we call a memory. And as a Brahmin, we know that we've been on a very, very long journey. In fact, our journey has been so long that most of the journey has been stored inside me as an energetic impact or an imprint. So imagine, I have so many of these impacts inside. And it's a little bit like, if you're driving your car over a speed bump or over, some rocky kind of road. And sometimes if you're not a great driver like myself, the car gets scratched underneath. I don't know if this has happened to you. And everyone in the car goes, oh, like, oh, some damage has been done. But we can't see it sitting in the car. Now imagine that this internal damage is happening again and again and again in different parts of the car. What's going to happen eventually? It means that there will be some kind of effect, some kind of damage that will start to show. It might show because things get moved around and so the car starts to rattle, like there'll be a constant noise, a shudder. And every time you move, something will bump into something inside. It could be that a few nails or screws get loosened, again creating noise, internal noise. It could be that you actually miss, so a piece of machinery actually falls off, and that will start to affect the entire not just movement of the car, but the working of the car. You might actually create a lot of pollution. The smoke coming out might be really bad and very visible then to people, but maybe not to yourself. So what I'm trying to say here is that the damage that has occurred in the soul, most of it is not visible to me. What is visible to me today is my behavior, is my way of reacting to the world. And I say reacting, not responding, because again, most of what I am today is going to be a reaction until I become so aware of what I'm doing, excuse me, that I can start to choose my behavioral patterns, my thought patterns, therefore my responses. And so there ends up being a ripple effect of this energetic imprint. It starts to affect every little reaction that I am giving out, expressing externally. So introspection, introversion, turning inside, looking within, starts to make me just aware of what is going on inside. It starts to make me realize the extent of the damage. And I think, we are very positive as Brahmins. We're very optimistic people. We like to see the work that has been done. We like to see what is shifting within the soul. And that's really, really important. But I think it's also very important to be honest and to know what is yet to be accomplished and what is still sitting there inside me that is actually powering, everything inside, and that is not allowing me to move forward and release from my old conditioning, my old personality, my old energy, impact, imprint. So acknowledging the painful imprint exists enables me to recognize it. So we don't want to speak about it again and again and again, because I add energy to it. Sometimes in psychology, they ask you, speak about your issue, speak about your problem again and again. And perhaps that is just adding fuel to the fire. I think one has to acknowledge it, one has to recognize it, and one has to be very honest to admit it. Definitely. Internally, to myself. Speaking about it is not always necessary more than once. But once I recognize it, that is like the first entry point into healing. And then once I recognize it, I can start the process of dismantling what is going on inside, and especially dismantling the coping mechanisms. All the ways of being able to keep myself safe, not having to deal with it. These are all coping mechanisms. During the entire cycle, when I didn't have the ability to access help, when I didn't have Baba's support and Baba's strength available to me, my coping mechanisms were the only way for me to be able to stay safe. These coping mechanisms, such as blaming, pushing the blame external to me. It's such a wonderful way that I can shift the energy, shift the vision of myself to the external world. And if it's a coping mechanism, well, it's a wonderful coping mechanism, but it doesn't create any shift inside. It doesn't help me start to do the inner work. Secondly, feeling guilty. This is another coping mechanism. Guilt is such a strange emotion. You know, guilt is a way of maintaining my being a victim. And as long as I feel a victim, I lack power. I've given my power away. As long as I'm a victim, I just sit in one place and I continue to feel bad about what's happened in my life. And I continue to stay powerless and stuck. It's just another coping mechanism. Of course, people who are victim, we have mercy for them and we want to support them. But first, the victim has to want to empower themselves. So these are coping mechanisms to shift my energy from looking inside, from digging deeper, to staying on the surface. So when I acknowledge there's a problem, it starts to dismantle these coping mechanisms, which means I refuse to give energy to this way of handling myself. And I take away that form of protection, because coping mechanism was just a protection to stop myself from being poked, from being triggered. Too much talking, too much speaking about it is not necessary, but I need to acknowledge and realize what's there. And after realizing what's there comes the process of me disengaging myself, disentangling myself from the pain. You know, you can see something happening and yet not feel the pain. This is a very powerful place to be in, and this is what we call detachment. The other day, I found a tiny 1-week-old kitten outside the house, and I was leaving the house to go to meet someone. Imagine you're leaving, you're about to step in the car, and you see a tiny 1-week-old being, you know, so small, so powerless. And so I picked it up. I just didn't know what to do because I needed to get in the car and drive. And I could see this incredibly sad thing with me, this situation. And there was confusion in my mind. There was no pain, but there was confusion what to do. So I didn't want to feel a victim. I didn't want to start to ask, why is this happening? You know, why do I have to see this thing right when I'm headed out to meet somebody in their house? So I put it in my lap and I started to drive with one hand on this tiny kitten. And it was a 10-minute drive, maybe not even 10 minutes, 7-8-minute drive. And all this time, do I look at the road or do I look down at the kitten who's now started to move around, you know, all over my lap, trying to move around the car? So I had to stay very emotionally detached so that I could continue driving. But I also had to keep the focus, the intellect, 90% on the road. Otherwise, forget the kitten, even I would not have been in a very good place. So you see, when we're in life, there are so many things to keep my eyes on. I need to see what's going on and I need to stay emotionally detached. This is a very powerful place to be in when I'm doing any inner work. I acknowledge the dent. I acknowledge the energetic imprint. But I stay detached from the pain and instead comes the beginning of the healing, which is where I start to fill my inner world with love and compassion and acceptance. I start to take power from Baba, and this is where the introspection starts to change to elevating myself. In fact, detachment is the process of starting to shift the energy of the soul upwards. I see the impact, the imprint that is there, and I start to shift that energy. I transform the energy into an upward state, a way of being able to now change the mechanisms inside. And Baba's love, firstly, gives me the will to create change. When I start to love myself and see myself the way Baba does, this creates a lot of power inside. It creates the will to want to change those memories and the impact that the memories are having on me, and then to actually recreate them. So I start to let go of the pain and the suffering and the judgment and the criticism, which is what an old memory is about. And I start to see it from a perspective, firstly of love, then secondly of mercy. Mercy, meaning understanding that it's nobody's fault. So the inward guilt and the outward blame, the two old coping mechanisms, have now been completely dismantled. So only love, compassion, or mercy exist within me. It's only then that I can stand on a springboard to take me to a place which is much, much higher, which is where God wants me to travel to. Over time, I leave the pain behind, and the ripple effect of that pain, the impact of it, the imprint, starts to diminish and is replaced with love. So the question is, do I want to dissolve my old pain? In which case I will have to turn within. All of this pain, all of these memories are stored in our subconscious mind. Simply, we call it the sanskaras. You know, sanskara is not actually a habit. It is an impression. It is an impact. And as long as that is felt inside me as an emotion, it will have an effect. It'll have an impact on my external world. And how do I know that the impact is still there? Any feeling of disturbance inside, any discord inside myself, any movement, uncomfortable movement inside, means that there is an emotional impact still affecting me. You see something and you feel uncomfortable. You hear something, you are uncomfortable. Anything out there that triggers your senses and can shift something that is stored inside to take you to a place where you are uncomfortable. Anything that can trigger something inside you means there is still an energetic imprint. There is still a dent in the car. And until we become karmatit, there will be something that we can work on or work with inside me. So, you know, on the one hand, it is easy, Rajyoga, but on the other hand, it requires a lot of courage to look inside and decide, I am not going to play the old game. I'm going to elevate myself to a position where I want to start to heal. And I want to deal with all the stuff that's stored inside the subconscious and at the very lowest level of my subconscious or energy, which is called the chit. So anything that is stamped on the chit that is different to my original self needs to be dealt with, needs to be sorted out. And this is basically our inner work. This is what Baba wants us to do. This is the effect of using Gyan to look inside, honestly to see myself and what is remaining to be done, and using Yoga to elevate me. So introspection, the ultimate usage of knowledge or understanding, and yoga or empowerment, which is then to bring myself to a different perspective. This is what our two subjects mean. Going within, looking inside, introspection and empowerment. It's only then that I can move on to the third subject, which is dharana. And that is actually merging inside what I don't require for another half cycle at least, maybe 3/4 of a cycle. And then emerging within myself the beauty of the soul and allowing it place to start to grow, to expand within me. So I want to read you something from Bab Dada now. And this is from the Murli of the 31st of December, 1999. And I often wonder how I completely missed this Murli. And I think it's probably because it was the time of Y2K. Do you remember? And my entire focus that time was on collecting water, having food inside the house, stocking up, because I thought, we had reached perhaps a mega crisis and the world might have like a mini ending. And so I think I completely missed this Murli 24 years ago, or perhaps the soul wasn't ready to do this inner work that I am today. So from Bab Dada, do you experience yourselves to be such special souls? Do you know your own greatness? You must not allow situations to change your form. Why should the situation change you? So basically, why should any situation have an impact or draw up a memory? You have to change any situation. Should words change you, or should you change your words? What would be called transformation? Now, this is the best part. An angel means one who is beyond any of the past and ordinary ways of behaving. I'll repeat it. An angel means one who is beyond any of the past and ordinary ways of behaving. So basically free from the energetic imprint that's been sitting in my subconscious mind or the chit. Bab Dada saw that you lack the powers to erase and accommodate. You do erase everything. You erase anything wrong that you have seen, heard, thought, anything of the past. However, you speak about this as being the conscious mind. So we try to erase it just from the conscious self. We don't erase the energetic imprint within the soul. So you speak of one thing being the conscious and one thing being the subconscious. You erase it from this plate of the mind or the slate of the mind or the paper of the mind. But you don't erase everything completely. Why are you not able to erase it totally? The reason is that your power to accommodate is not powerful. You accommodate things according to the time, but then something would emerge again. So the imprint is not gone fully. The impact is still there as subtle energy. If the plate or slate of the mind is not completely wiped clean, then it's not clean. Would anything you write on it be clear? So even though we're trying to create a new me, it's just not possible, right? Because you're not clean inside, what you write on top cannot be clear. It's mixed with that dirty energy. So, for example, if you tried to imbibe virtues and powers, would it be constant and to the full percentage? You can only use these powers easily when everything is completely clean and clear. And the reason why you can't use it is because the slate of the majority of you is not clean and clear. Sometimes things of the past, behaviors of the past, wasteful situations, wasteful behavior would still be merged within you in a subtle way. And they emerge into your physical form, meaning into your behavior and your words at certain times. So firstly, check yourself. This is my introspection. The most subtle form that any of this will take would stay in your vibrations. And vibrations means my energetic form. So an angel means one who is completely clean and clear. You need the power to accommodate, as the first was, the power to erase properly, to really clean, to let go of all that energetic imprint. Secondly, the power to accommodate means to transform negative into positive. Don't accommodate the negative, transform the negative into positive, then accommodate it. So this is the power to merge the good inside me, to transform what I have merged from the past, the negativity, the pain, the sorrow in the soul, the trauma, and to transform it into something positive. There will then be newness. How do you put a full stop to that painful past? Only when you find answers to the excuses you make. So the answers to the excuses means, I really want to let go of the trauma. I don't want to continue being a victim of all that I have accumulated inside and all these painful memories. And the reason why we don't do that is because of our carelessness. So if you haven't found an answer to your excuses, then you only do things temporarily. So we do look inside. We do a little bit of cleaning, where you take the window cleaner, the surface cleaner, and you do a bit of cleaning. But you don't take Jif. You don't take that, heavy duty cleaning. You don't take chlorine, and do the cleaning that erases everything so that nothing can grow again. And I am set free from being that victim. So now stop all of your old things. Allow your original and eternal sanskars to emerge. Remain constantly aware while walking and moving around that I am an angel like the Father. I have no connection with my old sanskars and old things. This thought of transformation just needs water and sunshine. So the water is my introspection. The sunshine is the power from Baba. So it's Gyan and yoga being used in the right way. They will allow the fruit to emerge in the form of my pure dharna. And it's only then that my dharna will be strong, that my dharna will be permanent. And I won't continually be pulled back into my old self. So the question is, are you ready? Do you really want to let go of the old you? Do you realize the impact that your energy, your old energy is having on you today? And are you ready to do anything to create change? And so when Baba says, you know, become an angel, release all of that, do I want to have the courage to step into a more elevated, higher me? Because if not now, then never. And I think all of us look in the right direction. We want to walk in the right direction. But the strings of the past are so strong that it's constantly being replayed in our behavior. So if not now, you'll never get another chance. Om Shanti. So I think I've spoken now for quite a bit. To move on to question and answers or comments from everyone.
Thank you, sister. And it was beautifully spoken, and I'm sure we have some questions. Let's open the house for questions. Yes, Sister Girja, please go ahead.
Om Shanti Sona Ben.
Om Shanti.
My God, it was so beautiful. I always, I love these three words which Baba always mentions in his murlis. And you have given us three words. When I just heard about this introspection, I just took it to be, where Baba says, check yourself, change yourself. But today you gave, like I always thought it was examining my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own motives, like a self-examination. Sometimes I used to even mix it up. I'm taking the guilt now, mix it up with reflection. But I know introspection after hearing you and reflection is not something aim, because my aim you have given me at the end as to merge. So when you have given merge, introspection cannot be reflection. And I have one or two questions, but I like the way you spoke about these two cleaning agents. I always like the principle of window cleaning, which is a beautiful management thing. And when you said water, what I have to clean inside, you gave the full murlis inside over there, where I have to clean. Murli is the mirror which tells me what is good for. And then you gave Baba over there in the form of sunshine. These two, in the end, which you gave, it was nice. But what I wanted to ask, see, when I introspect, definitely there will be a process where I blame myself. A kind of self-crucifixion will be there, because I know I have done things which I should not have done, which I should not have created. One. Secondly, what's wrong if suppose I feel guilty? I should feel guilty for a thing which I find myself wrong. Now you call that a coping mechanism, but I find that can also be a cleaning agent. Because if I know I am, for a person who says I am guilty, it needs courage to say I'm guilty. And can you say these two? I got the relationship between all the three, but how these two coping mechanisms will not help me in introspection. I feel they are also cleaning agents for introspection.
So
Like I
one
can.
thing you wanted clarification was guilt, and the other one was what?
You spoke about blaming,
Blame.
self-blaming. So I feel that's a part of a cleaning process. See, when I blame myself, isn't it nice? Really, I'm really trying to take think for something which I would like to change. So can't it be a cleaning agent? Function.
Yeah. So thank you, Girijaben. Nice to hear your voice after many years. So Dadi Janki used to say, you are allowed to feel guilty for 5 minutes. The problem with guilt, shame, and blame, they are the lowest energy in Maslow's, pyramid of energy forms. There's this beautiful diagram, I don't have it now, of the different energies in the soul. And the lowest form of energy is guilt, shame, blame. And what happens is it's okay to feel guilty for 5 minutes, to blame for 5 minutes, but it becomes a habit. And we've already been carrying this habit of feeling guilty for a long, long time. To acknowledge my mistake is different to feeling guilty. Within acknowledgement, honest acknowledgement, there's understanding. So if I say, look, I acknowledge that I did something wrong and I regret it, I'm sorry. That's okay. That's very much needed. In fact, if that's not there, I can't move forward. Because if I don't know what's wrong, I don't know what's right. I don't know that I need to transform it. Guilt is connected with me really pushing myself down. And for those who have experienced guilt long term, it ends up in suppression of the purity within the soul, the courage in the soul, the joy in the soul. So, even in bhakti, this form of looking at God where we say, you are so great and I am so low, even this is a form of guilt. And this is totally not what Baba wants. I personally, if you ask me, what is the journey of spirituality? I would say that it's a journey from low self-respect to such high self-respect that I never feel bad about what I do, which doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes, but it means I understand why I'm making those mistakes. I can see what in my energy is making me make mistakes, what is remaining inside me that needs to be sorted out. That acknowledgement, that honesty, perfect. That's wonderful. I wouldn't call that a coping mechanism. I would actually call that a transformative mechanism. Coping mechanism means I'm just trying to stay alive, which is what was happening before Baba found us. I'm just trying to survive in this world and stay sane and stay safe inside here because the world is constantly throwing rubbish and pain and suffering at me. And I need to create a protective coping mechanism. So that is where guilt came in. So blame, again, I can blame myself, but blaming myself or blaming someone else is pushing them down. Whereas just an honest, introspective acknowledgement will help me to release that much easier. So maybe it's just semantics, maybe it's just words, but the main thing is that I don't continue with this feeling of guilt or blame for more than 5 minutes. And in my own experience for myself, feeling guilty lasts for much longer because it's an old habit. And you may not see it, but whenever we repeat a mistake verbally or even in my mind to myself or to somebody else more than once, I've already started to play the guilt game or the blame game. Okay,
Thank you, Sona Ben. Wonderful. I think it's like robbing the soul when you say guilty, robbing the soul for self-pity or crime. And the other one, what you said, is self-crucifixion. Thank you very much. Lovely to hear you and see you. Thank you very much.
Shanti, thank you.
And when you use this word guilt and blame, the one reflection here which comes in is, can I look at, instead of being there in the standing in guilt, can I gracefully acknowledge, is what I got from the conversation that you made. And instead of blaming, can I just stand in the space of blessing, applying the knowledge which Baba has given, where I say that everything that has happened or that had happened in the past had been benevolent. It was only me who couldn't see that at that point in time. And that also accepting that space with grace, not with any kind of guilt, has been one reflection that came in through the conversation that you just made. And it's something really very deep for one to look at it. And I acknowledge here on the group that a lot of times the introspection space that I had been sitting on had been a little hollow, and I need to really deep dive more there. Thank you so much for that. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Raki. Shanti. It's nice you use the word position, because it's all about position. You know, somehow guilt and blame are a standing position. Acknowledgement and honesty are a moving position.
Yeah, so whether you understand or you are playing is a choice that one makes.
Absolutely. Anyone else have a comment or a question?
If no one is asking, can I ask you to tell us what are the paths you need? I'm talking about spiritual paths. You said, of course, about honesty when you came to introspection, but I'm talking about, we speak about paths. You said somewhere accommodate. I'm trying to see where does it fit in your IEE, introspect, elevate, and sorry, IEM. So can you tell us about the paths which are needed for these three kind of process?
Yeah, so I think the first power we just spoke about, which is honest introspection, which means I take my ego out of the equation and I don't give excuses and reasons for why something happened or why I'm behaving a particular way. I just say I am behaving in this way. So I do feel discomfort. I do feel anger. I do feel pain. I do feel ego. Whatever you're feeling inside, to be able to really honestly acknowledge it. That's the first power that's needed. The second power that's needed is complete humility. Humility to be able to take power from God. Because what comes in the way of me and being able to receive from the Supreme is sometimes this slight ego that still exists inside, which doesn't open the heart fully to God doing the inner surgery. We do take power, we do sit in yoga, but it's not complete. Why? Because I'm not humble enough to receive. I'm a little bit humble. Humility is what opens the doorway for the soul to be able to accept power. And if there's even a tiny little bit of ego there, it's almost like I open the crack of the door, but not the full door. Somehow, the more humble a soul is in front of God, which doesn't mean that I lose my self-respect. In fact, humility and being humble go hand in hand. The more I have self-respect and I want to be the way God wants me to be, the more I let go how I want to be. That's the difference between ego and humility. The minute I take on God's vision of me and God's hope for me, I'm in a place of humility. And when I'm humble, I'm able to completely absorb, maybe that's the word, merge God's power into me, which elevates the soul to a different position. So I would say honesty and humility are two basic powers required. And then the third thing, which is to be able to merge, or Baba used the word accommodate. And for that, I think for me personally, to expand my heart, to be able to be bigger today than what I am. And I would say that the power there is the power of courage. That I need to actually break the boundaries within which I've been used to living. There's a limit, a limit to how good I have been in the past. And so I need courage to step outside of that. So I am honest, I take power from God, but then I need courage to be more than what I am today and to know that it will work. So if you're not going to use an old way of being, you're not going to use your old self to respond in a situation, I need to have the courage to take on something new. So for example, rather than reacting in a situation, if I want to then be quiet, to have faith, to send good wishes, and to know that non-reactivity is greater than reactivity sometimes, but it's something new for me. I'm going to need a lot of courage for that. So to be able to merge the old and to merge from God something new within me, or to emerge from within myself something new, whenever you try something new, whenever you want to transform something, you need courage. And that would be the third power. I'm Shanti.
I have a question, sister.
Sure.
Very beautifully explained of the empowering courage and other attributes. There was a Murli where we were reading in the recent past how to be a spiritual rose, and it was talking a lot about that you not only have to be having best wishes to be number one for yourself, but also for every other soul, right? And in this journey of spiritual growth, you're also looking at spiritual growth of people around you. And when you face these kind of situations where you know that a soul is good in so many ways, but there's certain weaknesses, while Baba also says, do not look at the weaknesses, but then the soul is reaching out to you to actually help them in some way, and we're using Baba's light, but you find that some weaknesses, they keep coming back. Like, they're, like you said, this imprint, this is what reminded me. You used the word emotional imprint. Like there's 90% everything good, but that 10%, whether it is a maid who's stealing like habitually, or there is a relationship pattern of unfaithfulness in certain individuals, but everything else is perfect. And then there's some other, like, because I've been kind of interacting with some of these people, I just needed to understand from your vision, how can we as spiritual roses help such souls? We're trying to put Baba's light on them, but they repeat the same, like, 3 times, 4 times, and they're good souls in every other dimension. Do you have any guidance on this? Om Shanti.
Shanti. So from my perspective, I always see that when someone's doing something wrong, it's a coping mechanism. So whether I am stealing, whether I am unfaithful, whatever I'm doing, even anger, it's a coping mechanism. And why do I need the coping mechanism? Because I feel insecure inside, because I'm vulnerable inside. And I don't want to face that insecurity. I don't want to be able to display it, even to myself, because what is facing? Facing means I'm displaying something to me, not to others, but I don't want to see it. So I keep going back to these patterns of behavior to avoid looking inside. So if somebody keeps doing the same thing again and again, I would keep asking them the same question. Ask yourself, why am I doing it? And then they'll give you one answer. Ask them, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Ultimately, all answers come back to because I'm feeling insecure, because I'm empty, because I'm scared, because otherwise there will be a loss. Because the soul has suffered, any soul has suffered so much that the energetic imprint inside now is one of loss. And I have to reach that place where I acknowledge that I'm behaving from a place of loss. And then from that energy of loss come all these behavior and emotional patterns. Only when the soul touches that honestly and realizes that can there be any shift. Otherwise, I'm just using surface cleaner, telling them to change their behavior. Because the behavior and the emotions cannot change until I realize the emptiness and the feeling of loss inside. And that's the same for anyone, whether it's you, me, or the person you're talking about. On top of that, the soul then needs to make a shift to feeling full, to feeling supported, to feeling it's okay not to go back to that coping mechanism, and to start to rebuild my life from a place of fullness or benefit. Why does Baba say there's benefit in something? Because he doesn't want to go into the sanskara of loss. Loss creates vulnerability. Loss creates insecurity. Loss creates pain. And all the soul has done throughout the cycle, for however long the soul has been on this earth, is to lose, 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 lose. So until I can create that inner shift, it's very deep psychology actually. But until the soul cannot touch the loss and voluntarily say, I want to now work from a place of attainment, a place of gain, a place of seeing benefit, there can't be a shift in emotions and behavior. This is what has been my practice with myself, but also, you know, where I live at the moment, I have a lot of women come to see me, and they have a lot of trauma deep down inside. And until I can help them get to that place of loss that say, I no more am I going there, no more will I remain a victim. Only when they choose to jump and say, everything is okay, everything is good, and I am full the way I am. Only then will they stop using these coping mechanisms and these kinds of behavior to fill themselves, to pretend the loss is not there.
Yeah, it's quite deep. Thank you, sister.
Welcome. I think someone else tried to unmute themselves. Was it Kartika? I'm not sure. I carried on speaking because I didn't want to lose my train. But was there one other person who had unmuted in between?
No, sister, your voice is too low that time, so only I unmuted and
Okay, hopefully you could hear, okay?
and now it's okay, sister.
Okay.
Om Shanti, sister, a wonderful session, and I would like to just ask one little thing is that suppose there is a soul other than myself, there is a soul and who is like constantly in the kind of a deep, deep insecurity, and as we described, or the guilt, and because of that, the behavior pattern is often like that's a trap, and again that behavior comes. What role either soul can play in that, uh, uh, in terms of what Baba has described, and which is an effective way? If you could throw some light, what role do I have so that there's a permanent change? Will it be my own focus on my own self, so that I always, and in addition to that, what other things can be there?
I would say there's two things that I would do, that I do even now. One is to speak about my own story, my own journey. If I can openly speak about my own vulnerability, if I can speak about, you know, I used to be like this, I had this insecurity, and this is how I changed, without talking about theirs. Don't talk about theirs, just talk about yourself. Talk about what you're working on now. I'm sure all of us have something we're working on. To be really honest and to be able to be quite verbal with that honesty about where you're at and what you're trying to work on, what discomfort you're going through, where you are insecure. Because what that does is it allows others to be honest. It allows others to feel it's okay to not be okay. It allows others to accept their own insecurity. But as long as we keep saying that, you know, everything should be good and everything should be fine, I mean, it's good to be positive and optimistic, but we also need to be very honest in our sharing. So the first thing I would say is that you share about your insecurity, past and present. The second thing is only hold good wishes for the soul. Only hold such powerful energy towards that soul that actually acts like a propeller to help them move forward. It's not an expectation that they should change. Yeah. It's not, you know, like you must change. It's good for you. No, it's not good for them. It's their story. It's their journey. Whether they change or not is none of my business. But from my side, I send such positive, pure wishes to them. What they do with that is up to them.
And 100% acceptance of what they are right now, respecting that, and then trying to help in a subtle manner, and as you said, share our own insecurities, and then they will open up, and then they will focus. Thank you, sister. Om Shanti.
I think our culture in India and other cultures around the world too are not cultures of openness and honesty. In fact, suppression, not talking about things, dishonesty, giving
Yes,
excuses,
yes.
not acknowledging what's going on inside myself, don't speak about it. You know, this is the way we are brought up.
Correct. Correct.
Show a big picture outside, a nice picture on the outside. You know, acha dikhna chahiye. Everything should look perfect.
Inside the drawer, there would be some chaos, but the drawer has to be shining, and so that's I think that's a barrier. That's a big barrier in opening up. Yeah.
Yeah. This was why the first power I spoke about was honesty. And honesty doesn't mean, you know, like I said, we don't want honesty to take me into guilt. Honesty is just acknowledgement. Yes, this is there. Yes, I got disturbed. Yes, I feel uncomfortable. But honesty also means, why did I feel uncomfortable? Go deeper. What's happening inside me? Honesty also means transformation. One part of that story is not honesty. Just saying and acknowledging is not honesty. That'll just take you into guilt. Honesty is the whole process from acknowledgement to transformation.
Yeah.
Then Baba would say you're an honest soul.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Thank you. It's a great session with a lot of takeaways for us. Thank you, sister. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Baba.
None of us would like to actually have you stop here, sister, but given the time that we are running through, invite you to take a short meditation before we close.
Sure. So just sit very comfortably wherever you are. Bring your conscious mind to yourself. Remember who you are, the soul on a journey. And I know that a journey means a loss of power, a loss of energy. A journey means getting dirty. A journey means feeling tired. But I still went on this journey, and I'm still on this journey. Because there is nothing better than this journey. It's a journey that allowed me to express the beauty that has been with me for so long. It's a journey that allowed me to create loving relationships. It's a journey that has ultimately brought me to God. So in this moment, I embrace my whole journey. I love my whole story. And more than anything, I love myself, a traveler. And now I look to my guide, the one who is ever honest. And I open my heart to him. To show me what I need to do to get to the end of this journey. Let honesty and humility and courage bring truth back to the soul. Shanti.
Om Shanti, sister, and thank you very much. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Divine Family.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you all for joining. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sona Ben, and we look forward to have many more sessions with you. It's been continuing journey with you from last 4 years. Have a
Inshallah,
wonderful day.
Inshallah. Let's see. But we'd love to
Yeah.
come back.
True. So we all have a wonderful day with the introspection, deeping down or going down to the process of guilt to grace, blame to blessing and bliss. No, everything being benevolent. Thank you so much for that insight, sister, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Om Shanti, sister. Thanks a lot.